But I hope you guys have had. Oh, that scared me. At least I know it's been recorded. So yeah, I hope everyone's had a good weekend. I know we come up to Sunday and we're ready to kind of get back into the mode. So this evening, guys, I'm just going to go through using tags in Azure DevOps. So you might be familiar with it. Some of you might not have a clue at all, but I'm sure that your understanding after this will be much better. You can see how it can help you with this internship and also further on when you get into the world of work. So what I'm going to look at this evening is what tags are, why and how tags are used, and also I'm going to demonstrate you on the board how to use it and how we can filter them and use queries for them as well. So, guys, so what are tags? So, tags are basically a way you can label and categorize resources or such as work items and releases and lots of things within the board. What's really great about them is that they're very flexible and lightweight method for you to organize and filter your work based on specific criteria. So we'll have a look at the different criteria that you could use and how that will help you. You can kind of see tags quite similar to like a post-it note where you might put certain color codes with certain work items or certain things within the workplace. Tags basically use keywords that are associated to a specific resource, and then it helps you to manage them and to track them. So here are some key points for tags. I'm going to look at them very briefly and I'll go over them in a little bit more detail. So like I mentioned, it's really good for organizing and categorizing, for filtering and searching, good for visibility and reporting. Again, it can be integrated with queries, which we'll have a look at practically when I go onto the board. And it's also really helpful with release and deployment. So we start off with organizing and categorizing. So basically, tags help you to organize and categorize your work items.
ní ọ̀dọ̀ yín ní
Oh,
àpápá
sorry, can you
ṣó
please
ti
mute
wà
yourself? Okay, okay, so it can be used for categorizing and organizing. So, for example, when you're in your software development, which we're all kind of working on now, there might be certain work items that you want to label, for example, as a bug, as a feature, or documentation. So, what is really nice is that you're able to add a tag to that. So that you know those certain things. So it could be the product backlog item. It could be a task that they're related to that specific feature. So you might put the feature or if it's a bug, and then you're able to filter that and find that. Again, you might want to categorize user stories based on its impact. So, what I mean by that, for example, there could be certain PBIs that are related to the front end development, or it could be back end development, or it could be related to the database. So, you can categorize them using that, and then that means that, for example, if you've got lots of stories or lots of work on your in your backlog, you can filter it and know which ones that you can work on, and that makes it a lot easier. When it comes to filtering and searching, like I'm sure some of you have realized within your product backlog, there are a lot on your board, and it's difficult for you maybe to find certain things or to search for it. So it can be used to tag certain work items, especially if you've got a large number of them. What is really nice as well is that if they have certain issues with these work items, you might, for example, label it as critical, so that when you filter it, it helps you to locate those stories that are critical or should be of high priority. So you can just add a tag to that. Again, for example, there might be certain elements of that are being under development that have different functionalities. So again, you might put a tag such as search, authentication, or payments, which then makes it really easy for you to filter and find all the work items that are related to search, or all the work items that are related to payments within your board. It's really good as well and can be used for visibility and reporting. So they can provide additional visibility into the status and characteristics of work items. So you're able again to prioritize the work items that you want to work on. So say, for example, you have your user stories and you want to track the progress based on its priority. So on the work items, you might have put high priority, medium priority, or low priority as a tag, and therefore you can filter it and find, okay, which are the ones that are high priorities or which are the ones that are medium priorities, and so you can focus upon those and actually check the status of those works. You might even want to track work items by sprints. So we all work in sprints, and I know we've been working in 2 week sprints. So you might add a tag to each of the work item. For example, sprint one, sprint two. And what is really nice about that, it allows you to generate sprint specific reports. So as a SM, there might be certain things I need to go back to my stakeholder and say, okay, this is what we worked on in sprint two, or this is what we worked on, or sprint seven. So again, it provides insights into the progress and completion of those work. And I think it really helps to kind of better sprint planning and also retrospective analysis. Um, sec- Two more. So I mentioned about looking at queries. Hopefully, some of you are aware of queries. As an SM, queries is very, very vital. And what is nice, you can use the tag feature as part of your queries. So then it allows you to customize it based on the tag that you have set on certain PBIs. So let's say, for example, I want to look at specific features that have been worked on within a sprint or within about to release a product. Then I might, for example, if it's a web component part, I will I would have added web to those PBIs that relate to that, so that when I do a search, I can do a custom query where I want to look at specific PBIs that have the tag of web, and I'm able to focus on that and put a report in relation to that. Another scenario, so in my team at the moment, actually, we're very close to releasing our product. And one thing that's really, really important is customer feedback. So my PBIs within those within the project could have a tags, for example, customer feedback, or in terms of user interface. And then when I'm running a query, I could prioritize those work items that link to the customer feedback that I've received, in order to push forward and ensure that the product we release is of a high quality. And then lastly, in terms of release and deployment strategies, which I think is extremely important. So tags really help us to kind of track your version. So you'll find when you are working that you might have different versions, you might have things that have been improved. Again, during, for example, the deployment pipeline. So it's important that you could use tags for continuous integration and continuous deployment. For example, you've got multiple versions. Sorry, excuse me. You've got multiple versions, so you can use a tag to kind of show you which version you want to look at. So, for example, you might have a release of version 1.1 or 1.2, and then it helps you to easily identify the different releases in your deployment pipeline. And again, you might, for example, have different environments that you're working on. So at the moment, I'm in the internship, you guys will be, your developers are working on the development environment. So you might have specific tags on work items that relate to, for example, deployment, development, sorry, that relate to testing or production. So you might then add a tag like dev for short, test or prod. So that will then mark the release according to the target environment. So then it helps you to work on the right application on the right version, at the different stages of your pipeline. So that's it in a nutshell in terms of some of the key things. So in summary, what's really, really good. So like I said, tags are very, very powerful. They really help with organization, especially because you might think now that your board has a lot of PBIs or tasks. In organizations, you can have hundreds or even thousands of different PBIs on your board. So it really helps for you to be able to organize it. Again, it will enhance collaboration, help your team stay organized, especially when you've got complex projects. What is really nice, again, like I mentioned, that you should be able to tailor it depending on your different product needs, depending on the work, depending on the groups that you're working with. And then it will enable you to have more meaningful organization and in terms of your project artifacts. And lastly, again, it just helps things to become more clear, help you to easily navigate, and also helps in terms of when it comes to reporting, especially when it comes to your demos and you're trying to work out, okay, who's done what, what are we currently working on and what has been worked at different points of the sprint. Okay, so I will come back for questions, but I want to just show you now where to find this. So just checking now, I'm showing my board for my project. Can people confirm they can see that?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so you first things first is that you want to be able to add the tags to your work. So you'll go onto your board. As I mentioned before, with my team, we're very close to releasing, but there have been some work items that we had to go back to specifically to rework so that we can have phase one release, phase two release, depending on different stages. So I've opened up a specific PBI in there, and it clearly says homepage rework, which makes life lots very easy for me as a Scrum Master to see that this specific PBI is in relation to reworking for phase one. So let's say I want to add a tag to that so that it specifically says it's phase one. You can see at the top here, you've obviously got the name, who it's assigned to, any comments, and it says here add tags. So I'll just click on add tag, and what it does is you can see here, it gives me suggestions. So these are suggestions of what have already been tagged within the project. So like I said, I would like this to be in relation to phase one release. So I've clicked on phase one release. If I wanted to add a new tag that hasn't been on there, it's very, very simple. All I need to do is just type it and then give it a name. So I might say deployment or something like that. But you want to make sure that you give that a new name. And then once you've done that, you can see with this specific PBI, it's got two tags on it. And again, you want to make sure you save it. All right, so very simple. So again, I'm going to get another one. I know, for example, we've had to rework on our footer for the phase one release, and it's going to change again as more development has been done. So I can now just click on add tag, and like I said before, I just need to click on the ones that I've done before, or if there is a new one that I need to tag it with, and you can tag as many as you want. And then I know now that this has got phase one release, phase one rework, and also if I wanted deployment, just because that's what I've worked on today. And then I save that. So now I have two PBIs and possibly some other things that I've done before that are now been tagged with deployment, with rework. So I'm now going to run a query. So as an SM, I'm like, okay, let's have a look at all the PBIs that link to the phase one release. So I've gone onto the queries that I found on the left hand side, click on new query. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with queries, but it is something that is very, very vital and it saves so much time. So you can see here in your queries, I've clicked on a new query and then this has come up. So it says, what is the work item that I want? So I specifically would like to just look at PBIs. So I'm going to click on value and I'm going to look at product backlog items. I'm not worried about the state, so I'm going to take away and ignore the states for now. So when you click on the field, you've got all the different types of fields that you want to look at. I specifically would like to have a look at tags. So I'm going to change that field to tags. And then here is where you decide specifically what type of tag that you want to look at. So I think I have put two PBIs as phase one release. So I would like the tags that have phase one release. So you will see here, it will show me a drop down of all the tags that are already being used on this project. So I'm going to click phase one release and then I'm going to run my query and it has brought up the two PBIs that we've just tagged, which is the footer and the home page rework. And like I mentioned in the presentation before, it doesn't just have to be PBIs, it can be any work item. So if you want to see everything that relates to phase one release, so that could include the tasks, that could include the bugs, then I will take away this value and take it to any. So now, hopefully it's the right one. There should be a bug. So yeah, earlier on I put a bug here and added a tag as phase one release, and phase one will work. So now it's not just showing me PBIs, it's showing me bugs and PBIs that relate to my phase one release in relation to the value here. So what's really, really good, you can obviously save it. I'm currently not logged on to my admin account, but you can create charts which give you a nice visual of that. So again, you might just want to save the query, and I would literally give it a name as phase one release PBIs or something along the lines of that. And then I'm able to come back to see the queries, and I can either put it on a chat into a chart, or I can download it and it comes up into like a Excel sheet that has the information. So one other thing before my time is done. So if, for example, you know specifically what tag you are looking for, you can go into a query and you can run that query for that. But let's say you want to know about all the tags that are currently on this project, you can just click here. So this here is found on your left hand side under your boards. If you scroll down to tags, this is the tag management. So here it shows you all the tags that are on this specific project. So you can see here I've got one that's under Bola, two under deployment, 11 under feedback, and you can see that. Okay, so now I actually want to see, okay, what PBIs or what work items are related to this. So if I just click on the arrow, it, it does a query for me, so I don't have to customize a query. It has now brought up all the queries that lead to feedback. So what you can see now is these are the PBIs in relation to our action points from retrospectives. So I can go back and look at, okay, these are the action points that we said in sprint one. Have we done them? Are there stuff that we still need to improve on? Again, these are the action points from sprint 8. Have we done them? Is there some things that we still need to do as a team to improve? And again, that saved me lots of time. I didn't have to type it in. I literally just went to the tag management, which was found here. It's brought up all the tags that are currently on this project, and I can just have a look at it like that. So you can do it that way as well, or if you want to have it more specific or customize your queries for those tags, then you can do that way as well. Um, that's me done. I have about 3 more minutes, so I'm happy to open up for questions.
Thank you so much, Bola. Thank you for your time. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone with any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bula, for that. So this is really, really good. Can we have any question? And the reason I asked Bula to come and do this is because I want you guys to be able to do a query for your report, right? As a BA, okay, you need to kind of go into all your stories that you've written and tag your name, okay? So at the end, you do a report and you can put that in your report for next Sunday, to say these are all the stories I've written from Sprint 0 thus far, or Sprint 1 thus far. The same thing for the keywords as well. You look at all the, you tag your name on all the stories, the test cases that you've kind of done, right? And I think the same thing applies to the DAs as well. So what are all these test cases and the stories? So you can either put a screenshot or you can export the query. You can export the query and put it on your report. So I need to see this as part of your report. So, and to be honest, that also is kind of easier for you. You don't need to kind of start counting where are all my stories to get it down. I did 1 in 2 sprints, or so, which I think is something that you could do. So well done for that, Bola. Yeah. So, all right, before we go to the next one, has anyone got any question about on what Bola actually shared, or you got questions about what I've just said now? I think you can stop recording, yeah, if that's okay. Even if we should have even stopped it before now.